Alright guys, today we're going to be comparing the LG V50 to the iPhone 13 here. So you can find the V50 for around 250 bucks, and it's really gone down. It's not really hovering around the $300 price point anymore. iPhone 13, obviously brand new, you can find for 800 bucks here. So big price difference, but when we actually start breaking stuff down, you'll see that we actually don't really have the iPhone doesn't really have that much on the V50. V50 has aged really well for an older flagship, but I do understand a lot of you guys are interested in upgrading to, you know, Apple or Samsung if you're coming from LG. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with hardware. So there's a lot to appreciate here from both. As far as the height, the V50 is definitely taller. The iPhone looks just a little bit thicker than the V50. You guys can see the button layout there. Go ahead and turn it to the side here. Boom. Now there's one interesting thing about the hardware is that the V50 still has a headphone jack with a quad DAC. So that means you're getting some very high quality audio. So for audiophiles, people who just love you know, high quality music listening, you're gonna really like the V50. You do have stereo speakers on here as well. So let's go ahead and just talk about the display a little bit more here. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the display here. So on the V50 you have a 6.4 inch OLED display. It's HDR10, it's a 1440p display or 2K display, and it is 538 for the PPI. On the iPhone we do have the Super Retina XDR OLED display. It is HDR10. It is 1170 by 2532, 460 for the PPI. So you can see the V50's display is taller. The notch is actually slightly smaller than the iPhone 13, which is pretty funny because they shrunk it. But this older flagship still has a smaller notch. As far as the difference between displays, one thing I do notice is that the V50 is definitely a little bit more vibrant, but Apple has done a good job with the iPhone 13's display. It is extremely color accurate when you start to pull up like photos and stuff like that, but it comes down to, you know, what you kind of like. You know, a lot of people like the more vibrant look, and, you know, if you're into photos and pictures and stuff, you'll really appreciate the really natural color on the 13 here. But I would definitely go with the V50's display here. It is a much sharper panel, and you can again also enjoy content in 2K, so that is really nice. But I think both are a really great display. Unfortunately, there is no type of high refresh rate on either of these phones, so do note that, but they are very bright, very colorful displays. Alright guys, let's talk about the specs a little bit more. So with the V50, LG did claim that they will be updating this phone. If you have an unlocked version, unfortunately this is Sprint. But this one has Android 10, you should get Android 11 and 12. You do have the Snapdragon 855 and Adreno 640. Micro SD support, 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. And on the iPhone, we do have the Apple A15 chip, iOS 15, no SD card support, and 128 gigs of internal storage and 4 gigs of RAM. So the V50 does beat the 13 out in terms of storage. So as far as speed, you will notice a difference. You should notice a difference here between the A55 and the A15 chip here. It should be noticeably faster. And again, not anything too crazy, but yeah, you'll definitely notice a little speed difference here. As far as your casual applications, as you can see, the V50 looked like it got there almost at the same time, if not a little bit faster. But as overall, you know, the 13 is going to be definitely the overall faster device here. But I will say that one interesting thing that you should note is if you are a gamer, you're pretty much playing at the same graphic settings, and they both play very well. I do have a gaming test on the V50 if you want to see that in depth. It plays Fortnite really well too. Basically, you know, there's really no difference in terms of gaming performance, as we're going to see here with PUBG. And it looks like the iPhone in here first, V50 right after, and let's go ahead and check out the graphics settings here. Oh my god, come on, man. Alright, so Alright, here are your graphics settings, guys. And again, you can see the same setting, extreme FPS all the way through, Ultra HD even. Just download it on the V50. You can see it is on there. We'll do HDR right now. Just go into that. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, it went through. Oh, I think this one is on something else. It's on Arena. Yeah, alright, well. Basically, you will be able to play pretty well on the V50. I have zero issues, super smooth. If you get the V50S, you do have the dual screen capability as well. It's the same phone with just some minor differences. But the iPhone is booting into the team deathmatch, but don't know why. And also another thing is that, you know, you can see that notch difference there. You know, not anything. It's not. You probably can't even notice it, honestly. As you can see, the iPhone is going to play the same. Now, if you get the 13 Pro, there is a possibility that the 13 Pro will get the 90 FPS option, but it's not going to be on the 13. Let's go ahead and test out these speakers. We'll go ahead and max the volume out here. Both have stereo speakers. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, iPhone speakers are definitely louder and definitely have more bass. Yeah, I was never a big fan of the V50 speakers, and actually compared to the G7 and the V60, I actually prefer those speakers much more. It's just that the grill is so small right here. Like, it's super small, if you guys can see that. Hold on, let me show you guys. Maybe I can, yeah, you see how small it is compared to the grill up here? It's just, solving for X, it's just super small. I think that's the issue with that speaker there. But they sound fine. They both sound fine. Obviously, the iPhone does sound much better here. All right, let's talk about the additional features. So on the 13, we have one way of getting into our phone. It is only the Face ID here, so no in-display or physical fingerprint sensor. You also have NFC with Apple Pay, and it is IP68 dust and water resistant. With the V50, we have multiple ways of getting into our phone. We have the physical fingerprint scanner, which works very well, and then we also have the option to do face unlock on the V50 too. Basically, you do have NFC on the V50 as well, and you also have IP68 dust and water resistant on the V50 too. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras. With the iPhone 13, you have a 12 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 4K video at 60, 30, or 24 FPS, along with a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K, and that is also 60, 30, 24 FPS. The iPhone 13 is going to give you some very good flagship quality photos, some very good video, good dynamic range, great color, very natural color, by the way, and overall you're just going to get some really good shots that you would expect for paying, you know, at this price. Very good cameras, and you also get the really cool cinematic mode as well for people that really like to take, you know, like portrait style video. So on the LG V50, we actually have a triple camera setup, so we actually get a telephoto lens with the V50, the 12 megapixel standard, a 16 megapixel ultra wide, 4K video at 60 and 30 FPS, along with a dual camera setup up front. So you actually get an 8 megapixel standard and then a 5 megapixel wide for like group selfies and stuff like that. And that shoots in 1080p though. The V50 is also going to take some pretty good photos. Obviously not as good as the 13. Of course, it's an older phone, but it's still very comparable photos. Very natural color on the V50. Very good detail as well. Pretty solid video on here too. So overall, you know, I don't have any complaints with the V50's cameras. I think they both are solid cameras here. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the battery life here. So with the iPhone 13, you do have a 3,240 milliamp battery, 20-watt charging, and you also have MagSafe wireless charging, and then you have your standard wireless charging. With the V50, we have a bigger 4,000 milliamp battery with 18-watt charging, so it actually charges a little bit slower than the 13, and then you also have wireless charging. Basically here, you're getting very good battery life on both. So I was always extremely happy with battery life on my V50. I had zero issues here, so you're honestly getting about the same. Even though the iPhone has a smaller battery, since this chip is just doing a great job, basically it just lasts just as long as a phone with a 4,000 milliamp battery. So it is very good battery life for both here. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.